When most people hear the title, The Art of War, they probably picture some dusty old manual about swords and shields. But what if I told you it's actually one of the most ruthless and insightful guides to human psychology ever written? Let's kick things off with a story that proves it. So picture this. We're going back over 2,000 years ago. There's a king, and he wants to test this legendary military strategist, Sun Tzu. The challenge he sets seems completely impossible. Take 180 of the king's own concubines and turn them into a disciplined military unit. I mean, this isn't a battlefield, it's the royal court. The stakes could not be higher. Okay, so Sun Tzu gets started. He lays out the orders, super clear, very patient. He starts the first drill, and the women just start giggling. They think it's a joke. So he stops. He explains the rules all over again, making absolutely sure everyone understands. He tries a second time, and again. They just laugh. Right then, he realizes this isn't about physical ability. It's a battle for psychological control. What happens next is a masterclass in establishing authority, and it is brutal. Sun Tzu doesn't waste time with another lecture. He acts. He takes the two women who were leading the squads, who just happened to be the king's absolute favorites, and has them executed right there. Instantly, the laughter stops. And just like that, the rest of the women follow his every command perfectly. And that shocking story right there shows you what the art of war is really all about. It's not a book about battle tactics, not really. It is a deep, deep dive into the psychology of power, influence, and human nature itself. It's a guide to leadership when the stakes are literally life and death. So if this is all about psychological mastery, where do you even begin? Well, it's not by analyzing your enemy or even your own team. Sun Tzu says the very first battlefield you have to conquer is the one inside your own mind. Sun Tzu lays out 5 virtues that are absolutely essential for any commander. You've got wisdom, to see the right path, reliability, so people know they can count on you, humaneness, so you actually care about your people, courage, to act when you need to, and strictness, to keep everything in order. Now, these all sound great, right? Pretty straightforward. But this is where Sun Tzu's genius really shines. Because what he shows us is that every single one of those virtues has a shadow side, a fatal flaw just waiting to trip you up. If your courage isn't balanced, it just becomes recklessness. If you're too prudent, obsessed with survival, you become a coward. Even something as good as compassion, if you have too much of it, can make you oversensitive and indecisive. The whole point is that psychological balance is absolutely everything. So this is the goal. This is the ideal state of mind for a leader. To really be effective, you can't be an open book. Your emotions have to be under your complete control, which makes you unpredictable to your opponents. You have to be calm, inscrutable, so that nobody can find a weakness, a psychological lever, to use against you. Okay, so once you've gotten your own mind in order, the focus shifts outward. How do you take these principles and shape the psychology of an entire team? Sun Tzu shows us how leadership builds from the inside out. Sun Tzu calls the ultimate goal here the way. And this isn't just a strategy, it's a state of being. It's that deep psychological bond where your team trusts you so completely that your will becomes their will. They're willing to face anything, to live or die, right alongside you. It's about fusing everyone into a single, powerful purpose. So, how do you get there? How do you achieve the way? Well, it's this delicate 2-step dance. First, you have to earn their devotion. You treat them with genuine care, like they're your own beloved sons. But, and this is so critical, if that's all you do, if you just indulge them without demanding discipline, they become spoiled children, completely useless when things actually get tough. The real art is in that balance. Which brings us to a really tough question. I mean, it's one thing to have a loyal team, but how do you make them brave? How do you get them to stand their ground under extreme pressure when every natural instinct is telling them to run? Sun Tzu's answer is psychologically brutal but brilliant. He says you put your team in what he calls Deadlands, a situation where there is literally no way out, no option for retreat. By taking away the possibility of escape, you force a total, absolute commitment to fighting for survival. It's a massive gamble, but it fundamentally shifts the team's mindset from one of fear to one of ferocious resolve. All right, so we've looked at mastering yourself and mastering your team. Now let's turn the lens outward. How do you apply these same psychological principles to get inside your opponent's head and gain the upper hand? This is maybe the most famous line in the entire book, and it's the foundation for everything that follows. Victory isn't about having more soldiers or bigger weapons, it's about manipulating your opponent's perception of reality. It's about winning the battle in their mind before it ever starts on the field. And the ways you do this are just genius. You don't attack their army head-on. You attack their commander's psychological flaws. Is the enemy leader quick to anger? Good, provoke them. Are they arrogant? Feed that ego, flatter them, and lead them straight into a trap. You're basically taking their own unbalanced virtues and turning them into weapons against them. So what's the defense against this kind of psychological manipulation? You have to become formless. Be like water. You should have no fixed shape, no predictable pattern that your enemy can lash onto. You're constantly adapting to them and the situation, which means they can never find a psychological weakness or a strategic opening to exploit. So we've covered the psychology of the leader, the team, and the opponent. But Sun Tzu's most profound insight, the one that ties it all together, is that the real work, the work that actually wins the war, happens long before any conflict even begins. This right here is the absolute core of the entire book. The winner isn't decided by who fights harder on the day. The winner is decided by who prepares better. A true master has already secured the win through careful calculation and planning way before taking the first step. The battle itself? That's just a formality. And these are the key variables you have to analyze. First, there's the way, that moral unity of your team. Then heaven, which is really about timing, the conditions, is the moment right. Earth is the physical ground, the terrain, the environment you're operating in. Then you have to assess the commander. That's you, your own character. And finally, method, the strength of your discipline and your systems. If a leader truly understands these 5 factors, Sun Tzu says they'll know the outcome before the fight even starts. This famous quote really just sums it all up perfectly. Victory is not about luck. It's about knowledge. A deep, honest understanding of your own strengths and weaknesses, and those of your opponent. That's the real key to never being defeated. So, why are we digging into a 2,500-year-old text? Because it doesn't matter if you're in a boardroom, launching a startup, or running a political campaign. These psychological principles are absolutely timeless. And this really is the ultimate mic drop. The point isn't to crush your competition. It's to be so strategically and psychologically sound that you achieve all your goals with the least amount of conflict possible. The best leaders win without ever having to draw their swords. So, after all of this, the final lesson from the art of war isn't really about war at all. It's that Sun Tzu's wisdom isn't about commanding armies, it's about commanding yourself. All strategy, all influence, all leadership, it all begins with that difficult, quiet work of mastering the incredibly complex terrain of your own mind.